Now, something a little bit different this time. I've been hugely inspired by a load of old photographs we found of my Aunt Mari's. Now, she wasn't really my Aunt Mari, she was actually my grand's best friend, but everybody called her Aunt. Now, in my mind, these photos are epic and a huge fitness group of all women. Now, the lady who started it all, Mary Stack, also known as Molly, and then later on, Mary Bagot Stack. Now, Mary was a bit of an apprentice to a Mrs. Con, and she took on her style of system of fitness. They felt it was needed to fit them properly to become the mothers of the race. The system designed specifically to bring successful childbearing and rearing. Mary worked with Mrs. Con for a while, and then at the age of 28 married and moved with her husband to India. Sadly, she lost her firstborn child, but her second was born in 1914, young Prunella, who soon became known as Britain's perfect girl. Molly's husband unfortunately died in the war, and that is what started her up doing classes again in the 20s to help support her family. She decided to jump further in 1930 with the Build the Body Beautiful League, which soon changed its name to the Women's League of Health and Beauty. Designed for business girls and busy women to help them improve their physical health and well-being while keeping their body in top shape to bring on the new generations. Maternal health education. Now, this is where the word racial comes in. Not how many would see it today though. The aim, racial health, as you can see in this banner. I wasn't really sure what to make of it at first, but they use the word racial, it seems, to mainly mean human race. So the health of those who were to be producing the future generations. But there were potentially a lot of meanings behind it, as you can imagine. Many could have taken it to mean the British race, Europe, the British Empire, and obviously of this time, white superiority or Aryan. Although there was never any sign of this meaning behind what they did. Mary set up leagues all over the world, Germany, Hong Kong, South Africa. It was a massive, massive scale. Women had only just managed to gain the right to vote, and with the league it was created for all women of all class, with a stylish uniform which you can see every lady wearing. Tops were white and shorts were black, with the logo on the chest. And cost for a class, £0.50 or 6p. Now, to give you an idea of how well it grew, their first public display was in 1931 at the Royal Albert Hall with 500 women. Now, by 1936 at Olympia there were 5,000 women in the display. Unfortunately, in 1935, Mary died, leaving Prunella to take on the reins. In 1937, exercise was actually a matter of national importance, made so by Prime Minister Chamberlain as war was ever looming. And the Women's League was pushed more and more and harder, and by then had 166,000 members in Britain alone. Now, Prunella was not fazed at all by the looming oncoming war, and in 1938 flew the British flag over in Germany with the league there, and then the following year hosted Germany over here. Prunella and her husband were even invited to a dinner in honour of Frau Gertrude Schultz-Klink, who was the leader of the National Socialist Womanhood in Germany. Hitler even described her as the perfect Nazi woman. Now, obviously, many women were then called to service and to help out with the war effort. Now, my aunt worked for Osram's. As you can see in this photo, they were a light bulb factory. And of course, they made munitions during the war, as many factories did. Little bit of an aside story. I always remember my aunt telling me a story about a little girl who had died somewhere on the factory. Now, they had lots of factory buildings. And she always swore blind that this little girl was protecting this one particular building as a ghost. Mainly because this was the only building that its windows did not get blown out during the war. All the others around it, all the time. But this particular building stayed pristine, apparently. Prunella carried on the league for many more a year, performing for the Queen's coronation in 1953. The league changed its name to the Fitness League in 1999 and carried on doing its displays at the Royal Albert Hall, even in 2010 for its 80th anniversary. Now, I think I found out that it's actually still around, but it's called Flexercise. Prunella became an OBE in 1980, and it was thanks to her mother Mary's concept that carried it on into the 21st century. And even though it's a bit virtual at the moment, I can imagine it's going to carry on for a lot longer. Look, everybody, it's Missy. Not been in a video for a while, has she? You little lady.